Good day, everyone. Today I'm going to present data analysis and representation. So let's begin with what is qualitative data analysis. Talking about qualitative data, it is defined as the data that approximates and characterizes. Qualitative data can be observed and recorded. This data type is a non-numerical in nature. This type of data is collected through methods of observations, one-to-one interviews, conducting focus groups, and similar methods. Qualitative data in statistics is also known as categorical data that can be arranged categorically based on the attributes and properties of a thing or a phenomenon. Qualitative data is also called categorical data since this data can be grouped according to categories. For example, think of a student reading a paragraph from a book during one of the classes sessions. A teacher who is listening to reading gives feedback on how the child read the paragraph. If the teacher gives feedback based on fluency, intonation, throw of words, clarity in pronunciation, without giving a grade to a child, this is considered as an example of a qualitative data. Qualitative data is important in determining the particular frequency of traits or characteristics. It allows statisticians or the researchers to form parameters through which the larger data sets can be observed. Qualitative data provides the means by which observers can quantify the world around them. For a market researchers, collecting qualitative data helps in answering questions like who their customers are, what issues or problem they are facing, and where do they need to focus their attention so problems or issues are resolved. So qualitative data is about the emotions or perceptions of people, what they feel. In a quantitative data, these perceptions and emotions are documented. It helps the market researchers understand the language their consumers speaks and deals with the problem effectively and efficiently. Here are the 5 methods of qualitative data analysis to help you make sense of the data you've collected through customer interviews, surveys, and feedback. First is the content analysis, thematic analysis, narrative analysis, grounded theory analysis, or discourse analysis. Let's begin with the content analysis. Content analysis is a research method that examines and quantifies the presence of a certain words, subjects, and concepts in text, image, video, or audio message. The method transforms qualitative input into a quantitative data to help you make reliable conclusions about what the customers think of your brand and how you can improve the experiences and opinion. So you can conduct content analysis manually or by using tools like Lexalytics to reveal patterns in communications, uncover differences in an individual or group communication trends, and make connections between concepts. Second is the thematic analysis. Thematic analysis helps to identify, analyze, and interpret patterns in a qualitative data that can be done with the tools like Dovetail or Thematic. While content analysis and thematic analysis seem similar, they are different in concepts. Just like content analysis, this can be applied to both qualitative and quantitative data and focuses on identifying frequencies and recurring words and subject, while thematic analysis can only be applied to qualitative data and focuses on identifying patterns and themes. Next is the narrative analysis. Narrative analysis is a method used to interpret research participants' stories. things like testimonials, case studies, interviews, and other text or visual data. Some formats narrative analysis doesn't work for any heavily structured interviews and written surveys, which don't give participants as an opportunity to tell their stories in their own words. The fourth one is the grounded theory analysis. Grounded theory analysis is a method of conducting qualitative research to develop theories by examining real world data. The technique involves the creation of hypotheses and theories through a collection of evaluation of a qualitative data that can be performed with tools like Max QDA or DLV. Unlike other qualitative data analysis method, these techniques develop theories from data, not the other way around. Last is the discourse analysis. Discourse analysis is the act of researching and underlying meaning of a qualitative data. It involves the observation of texts, audios, videos to study the relationships between information and its context. In contrary to content analysis, the method focuses on the contextual meaning of language. Discourse analysis sheds lights on what audiences think of a topic and why they feel the way they do about it. Moving on to the ethical considerations. In research, these are set of principles that guides your research, the science and practices. Scientists, experts, researchers must always adhere to a certain code to conduct when collecting data from people. Ethical considerations can be specified as one of the most important parts of the research. Dissertations may even doom to failure if its part is missing. According to Bryman and Bell of 2007, the following 10 points represents the most important principles related to ethical considerations in dissertations. First, research participants should not be subjected to harm in any ways whatsoever. Respect for dignity of research participants should be prioritized. Third, full consent should be obtained from the participants prior to study. Fourth, the protection of the privacy of research participants has to be ensured. Fifth, adequate level of confidentiality of the research data should be ensured. Six, anonymity of individuals and organizations are participating in the research has to be ensured. Seven, any deceptions or exaggerations about the aims and objectives of this research must be avoided. 8. Affiliations in any forms, source of funding, as well as any possible conflicts of interest have to be declared. 9. In any type of communication in relation to the research should be done with honesty and transparency. 11. The type of misleading information as well as representation of primary data findings in a biased way must be avoided. So, in order to address ethical considerations aspect of your dissertations in an effective manner, you will need to expand discussion of each of the following points to at least one paragraph. 1. Voluntary participation of the respondents in the research is important. Moreover, participants have the rights to withdraw from the study and the stage if they wish to do so. Second, respondents should participate on the basis of informed consent. The principle of informed consent involves researchers providing sufficient information and assurances about taking part to allow individuals to understand the implications of the participation and to reach a fully informed, considered, and freely given decisions about whether or not to do so without an exercises of any pressures or coercion. The use of offensive, discriminatory, or any other unacceptable language needs to be avoided in the formulation of the questionnaire interview focus group questions. privacy and anonymity of respondents is of a paramount importance. Acknowledgement of works of other authors used in any parts of the dissertation with the use of the Harvard APA Vancouver referencing system according to the dissertation handbook. Sixth, maintenance of the highest level of the objectivity in discourse and analysis throughout the research. And lastly, the adherence of the Data Protection and the Data Privacy Act. So as you can see on your screen is a tabular information regarding ethical issues and its definitions. So there are several ethical issues. Number one is voluntary participation, informed consent, anonymity, confidentiality, potential for harm, results, communication. So under voluntary participation, the definitions for this is your participants are free to opt in hour of the study at that point in time. Informed consent, participants knows the purpose, benefits, risks, and funding behind the study before they agree or to decline to join. Next is the anonymity. The definition of this is you don't know the identities of the participants. Personally identifiable data is cannot or is not collected. Confidentiality, you know who the participants are, but you keep the information hidden from everyone else. You anonymize personally identifiable data so that it can't be linked to other data by anyone else. So next is the potential for harm, physical, social, psychological, and all other types of harm are kept to an absolute minimum. For the results, you have to ensure your work is free of plagiarism or research misconduct, and you accurately represents your results. Moving on to as to how the data analysis spiral. According to Creswell likes the data analysis process, despite which the strategy is used to a spiral. A visual representation of a spiral is on your screen. The spiral begins with organizing the data, reading and memoing it, and then moves to classifying the data into codes, interpreting it, and creating visuals representation. So to analyze qualitative data, the researchers engage into the process of moving in an analytic circles rather than using a fixed linear approach. One enters with the data of text or audiovisual materials such as images, sound recordings, and exits with an account or a narrative. So in between, the researcher touches on several facets of analysis and circles around and around. Within each spiral, the researcher uses analytic strategies for the goal of generating specific and analytic outcomes. As you can see on screen are the data analysis using the spiral activities. So there are the activities under data analysis using the spiral analysis and its analytic strategies and its outcomes. Okay, so there are several activities. First is managing and organizing data. So under analytic strategies, you have to prepare files and units, ensuring an ongoing secure storage of files, selecting mode of analysis. So the outcomes, file naming system and organizing database of files, and units of text, images, and recording, and creation of a long-term file storage plan. And you have to use a software by hand or a hybrid. Second activity is reading and memoing in emerging ideas. The activities or the strategies are taking notes while reading, sketching reflective thinking, summarizing field notes. So the outcome should be written memos leading to code development, reflections over time, and the summaries across files or questions or projects. Third activity is describing and classifying codes into themes. What are its analytic strategies? First is you have to work with words, identifying codes, applying codes, and reducing codes to theme. So the analytic outcomes, it should be naming of initial codes, list of code categories and deceptions, and descriptions, assign the codes to units of text, images, and recordings, and finalize code books. Next is developing and assessing interpretations. So the analytic strategies are relating categories, themes, and families, relating categories, themes, families to analytic framework in literature. So the outcomes should be contextualized understanding in diagrams and theories and propositions. And finally, the last activities under data analysis spiral activities is representing and visualizing data. The strategies are creating a viewpoints, displaying and reporting the data, and the outcomes are matrix, trees, models, and accounts of the finding. That's all for today. Thank you very much for listening and enjoy the rest of your day.